In a perfect world, our podcasts like this would not exist. But this is not a perfect world. Hey everybody, welcome back to Super Despair World. This is the only podcast that takes a firm, hard stance against sloppy, careless content on the internet. Come get your weekly fill of it. This week we've got a doozy of a topic, but I thought let's open up with a little bit of housekeeping, get some stuff out of the way. Let's talk about a good show for once. This show.
Yes, this show, the best show.
The only show on the entire internet. Maybe eventually soon. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, I wanted to get some stuff out of the way. We're like 6 episodes in as of this week, and I had no expectations for like where the show would go, and we haven't really like plugged or advertised anywhere, but you know what, I just wanted to start off like with a cheesy little thank you to everyone who's been listening so far, everyone who's like commented, everyone who's like told me just in private like they dig what we're doing. Cool, thanks for that, we appreciate it.
Yeah, everybody who's been gooning to these episodes, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, we hope it's been good for you too, because it's been good for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we start, I just wanted to lay out just like some plans we have going in, because we're probably taking next week off, because like a week from our recording, a little behind the scenes, it's going to be Christmas Eve. So I think we've got other things to do on the holidays than like record our dinky little podcast. So we're going to take the week off. This will probably be the last episode for the year, but we have some big plans going forward. This is like the pre-season of the show. So maybe, I don't know, Dave, you want to elaborate on what we got lined up?
Yeah, well, just for one, I want to say that I'm going to be very busy waging the war on Christmas. So,
yeah, we're going to be deployed to the front lines. We can't talk about that yet. George Soros paid us a lot of money to keep quiet.
Yeah, that, and but we do have some things in store to. We're anti-slop, so this is going to be the most cultivated and curated podcast on the internet. We're gonna have a theme song that's in the works. We will be putting these up on all of your favorite podcast apps. That is also in the works. What else do we have going on?
In the future, I know we've talked about a few possible guest episodes. We're not going to name the guests, but we do have a couple in mind, so look forward to those in the new year.
Yeah, that, and then the website. We're gonna have everything jammed into one very fancy and cool website that you will burst into tears once you open this up. I guarantee you. I can promise you that.
One way or another, there will be tears.
Yes, tears of joy or
tears of
other
despair.
Tears. Yeah.
And that's the thing. We've talked a lot about like anti-slop content, and that's not the main part of the show, but it is a big important thing to us. And we've talked a lot about how, in a lot of ways, the internet used to be better before the age of social media, where like we spend all our time on one of like 6 like shit ass mega websites. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're gonna make a cool website. It's not gonna have unlimited content, but we hope that once it's up, you'll enjoy it. Maybe it'll be the best way to listen to the show. Who knows? But yeah,
we're gonna put it on GeoCities.
Yeah, actually, I think, didn't they make something new like NeoCities or something?
I think they just like revived GeoCities.
I remember I heard the term NeoCities somewhere, but I don't know. Either way, we're making our own website. It's gonna be the best of the old internet. Maybe, I don't know. We'll take advantage of some stuff. We want to make sure it looks good on mobile too and everything. But yeah, I think that covers what we've got lined up in the future. We've teased a lot of episodes before, but we don't need to go over like the full list or whatever.
Yeah. We just want to let you know that we do care. And we're going to make the listening experience as great for you as humanly possible.
Yeah, we want you to have only the best gooning sessions to our silly little
exactly.
show.
Exactly. We really care about that, especially.
For sure. With that out of the way, let's get on to today's topic. Dave, did you know that apparently somebody found a level in the backrooms where you can find Freddy Fazbear?
Freddy Fazbear? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
from Five Nights at Freddy's. He's in the game, in the backrooms.
No way. What do you mean?
Well, it all started with this Plants vs. I can't do this, dude. I don't know how they do it. Uh, there's a lot of sloppy content out there aimed at kids. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about YouTube for kids, TikTok for kids, all the weird stuff that we're like 25, 30 years too old to be talking about.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, the content is made by adults.
Yeah, well, a lot of it is made by adults. Some of it is made by ChatGPT.
Oh, well, yeah, and we're gonna see more of that as time goes on. Because yeah, I mean, who is the? I would say the number one consumer of slop content. It's got to be kids, right?
I mean, that's probably the original slop content, right? Because look, a lot of people underestimate kids. A lot of people like to be like, oh, anything kids like is silly and cringe. And you know what? Often it is. Like, we've all been kids. We can cringe at that. But at the same time, like, let's be real. Like, kids are not very discerning viewers. They will sit in front of the iPad and scroll through like 100 videos.
Well, the problem with that is it's not because kids are necessarily stupid. I mean, they are in a lot of ways. But it's because they don't really have a lot of agency over a lot of things in their lives. So they're not going to be like that picky and choosy about what they do. It's kind of just like, oh, this is here. I am also here. And now I sit and do that. I mean, we're conditioned by school in a lot of ways to just be like, well, an adult tells you that this is a thing and you are going to sit here and you are going to watch it and you're going to like it or not like it, but you're still going to sit here and do that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this episode, I'm going to be doing a lot of speculating because, both of us, like, we're in our 30s. So, like, things are very different now than they were when we were kids. Like, I remember when I was a kid, one of the things I did, like, endlessly, and maybe this is just like a symptom of my fucking ADHD or something, like, years before I was aware of it, but I would often go, when my mom was visiting, like, my aunt and uncle's house. They had the entire Austin Powers series on DVD, and I remember I just watched.
Ooh.
I watched Goldfinger like 7 times in a row, like one day. Not 7 times, like, but I watched it multiple times, and I would never get tired of it. And like as a kid, I was just like glued to the TV screen, like laughing at the same joke over and over and over again. So like I guess that's just like something kids do, right? They love the repetition and seeing.
No,
seeing
that is definitely true. I am not a child psychology expert by any means, but I did work with kids for a while in my previous educational career, and yeah, you can show kids the same movie like every week and they will just be totally down for it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I was a psych major briefly, and I think I don't have the, it's been a long time, so I don't have like the exact scientifical technical terms down, but one thing that really stuck with me is this idea that, like, as you get older, your perception of like the passage of time changes, right? So like you and I have been alive for like all these years, so like when we see something new, it's like it's pretty ephemeral, right? It's just like one drop in the bucket of the ocean of our lives, or whatever.
True.
But like when you're like 6 years old, you've only had like a handful of experiences, right? So every new joke you hear is potentially the funniest joke you've ever fucking heard in your life, and you're gonna want to just like absorb it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I think that's why in a lot of ways media has a really big shaping on people's sense of humor and other things. And you've seen this before when, like, for example, when, like, Anchorman came out and just people would just quote this, like, every 3 minutes for about 2 years
There were a lot of movies like that, like fucking Napoleon Dynamite was really big when I was a teenager.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I remember that one, too.
And, that's probably another thing that's changed, right? Because like we've talked about this before with how like everyone exists online now, so it feels like a lot of people just like live in their own little bubbles, like that might not interact with the broader world at all. Whereas back when traditional media was bigger, you did have like these like comedy movies that like, yeah, this is just the funny thing for the next 6 months or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they were fun, like a lot of them, not all of them.
I mean, listen, I brought up the Austin Powers movies, and like not every joke in those has necessarily aged the best, but you know what? I can still look up some bits to that on YouTube, and I think it's funny as fuck. I still get a kick out of the fucking steamroller bit with the guy that doesn't get out of the way.
Oh yeah. The you mean the forklift or whatever, like the
No, the forklift getting stuck in the hallway where he's like,
oh, that's
to
a
turn
different
around.
part. That's
that
right.
Was a different
See,
part.
yeah,
The
time is
steamroller was like,
telescoping.
he's like, move, get out of the way, and the guy just screams,
yeah, and he's just
and it's moving.
and he
at,
just
like,
puts
one.
his arm out and just screams. Yeah. I do remember that one now. See,
Yeah.
everything's blending together now. I'm reaching my my final boomer state where just I can't remember anything that ever happens in my previous years.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Time is just kind of ephemeral, and like when you've lived long enough, and like, I'm not gonna do this whole like, oh, I'm so ancient, oh, I'm such a boomer. Like I'm 30 fucking years old. I don't consider myself that old. Like just a few years ago, I was like a dipshit college student still. So like, I'm not gonna talk authoritatively about this, but like, as you get older, like your perception of things does change, and like maybe that's an element to why we're so against slop content, because it feels like, oh, I'm seeing echoes of like dumb shit in the past just like recycled cynically nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like the older I get too, the less I give a shit. Whereas I've noticed this recently is people who are like in their early to mid 20s, they see every year passing by as like 1 year closer to death. And then once you hit your 30s, it's just like, I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
feeling good. I'm glad I'm not a fucking idiot.
They hear the grandfather clock chime, and they feel the icy cold hand of death creep across their shoulder as they like study for their finals in like junior year.
Yeah, exactly. One step farther away to being the main character in Dawson's Creek.
Oh geez, that's gonna date us. I haven't thought about Dawson's Creek in like 15 fucking years.
I don't know why. Before we started the episode, I was thinking about that show. The classic show, but I guess this does somewhat tangentially tie into like what we're going to talk about. Is just like it's a show that's supposedly about teenagers, but everybody who plays them is 25 years old, and the writer is probably like 40, and then the target audience that's consuming this is probably just like, oh man, why isn't my life like that? Where's the Joey to my Dawson? It's like, dude, it's not real.
Yeah,
man, I'm sorry.
I've never watched Dawson's Creek, but I feel like a lot of the media back then had this very like melodramatic, like sentimental vibe, which is very different than like the fucking like High School musical Euphoria stuff nowadays, where it's like it's a completely different thing. But that's more content aimed at teenagers, which is a little older than what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we're talking about the actual youngsters. The young youngsters.
Yeah, so like let's just dive right in. I say like 15 minutes into the show. All right. So we're talking about, let's start off with like YouTube Kids, content for kids on YouTube. The slop you see when you hand a 4-year-old an iPad and just leave them to their own devices and see what comes out on the other side.
Yeah, so that is something I wondered, like iPad Kids. Who cultivates this algorithm? Because when you fire up an incognito window, you're not signed in, or something on YouTube, like it's mostly like CNN videos, and like I guess Mr. Beast is for kids.
Yeah, we've seen this whenever we log into our brand new account for the show on YouTube. Like, I don't use our show account to watch shit, I'm not subscribed to anything on there. It's just like I log in, it's like, which of these 9 different Mr. Beast videos would you like to watch today? I'm like, none of them,
Yeah.
please.
Where does I mean, I would assume that like the parent puts something on, they just search like children's thing and then just hand the kid the iPad,
I think
and then
you can go on
the
to
autoplay
YouTube
goes.
and just like, I think there's like an outright kids category, or like you can set something in the account to make it like, okay, this is a kid's account. I don't know, because I haven't done this. Maybe I should have before we started talking about it.
Right. No, like I think you're right, but it wasn't always this way, and I think they just implemented that like recently.
It was a couple years ago, I want to say. So like, first off, to my knowledge, if I remember correctly, we don't want to talk too much about like people being creepy towards kids on the internet. We're going to keep that to a minimum as best we can today. But I will say, to my knowledge, the YouTube Kids thing came about because a lot of people were complaining that their kids on their iPad were being exposed to like some really weird, freaky shit on the internet. And YouTube Kids came about as like, okay, we're going to curate this specific part of the internet to like appease like the weird Christian PTA moms who get very upset about this stuff.
I think that's like especially ironic, just seeing as how they're the ones giving their kids unsupervised access to the internet. But at the same time, like, depending on the age of the parents, I kind of do understand, because you couldn't really just like put your kid in front of a TV like 30 years ago and just some like inflation porn is coming.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if your
Nickelodeon.
kid is staying up until like fucking like 1 a.m. and they get on HBO back when it was a TV channel or something.
True.
I've definitely seen some weird stuff in hotel rooms as a kid, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
I do remember, I think Canada's a little bit different, because I do remember when we were on a band trip in middle school, I somehow figured out how to bypass the cable box, and I just put like the coax that goes into the cable box directly into the TV. And it just happened to be that like the default channel for these TVs was like channel 45 or whatever it was, and it just happened to be like the porn channel. But the funny thing about that was when the box was not connected to the TV, it played everything in full volume, and you couldn't change the volume on the TV because it was like a hotel TV. So we would have like multiple kids in one room, just like putting like pillows over the speakers on the TVs and shit.
Whoever set it up that way is fucking malicious.
It's completely. I don't even think that was intentional. I just think. I don't really know. I don't really know how that.
I mean,
worked,
look, we can talk about like how annoying advertisements on the internet are nowadays. Like just recently, there was the whole thing about YouTube trying to crack down on ad blockers, but I think a lot of people don't appreciate that like ads back in the day were like a lot more like outright malicious. Like you go onto the wrong part of the internet and you would just get like a like video pop-up ad that's like just some girl like loudly moaning in porn or something. Yeah,
and just like a pop-up that's just like, get fucked right now, and it's like the most low resolution picture of like a dick.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think you still get a lot of those exact same ads, same image and everything from 20 years ago if you just go on Pornhub nowadays, but that's like the only place you see it anymore.
It does seem that the browser creators of modern browsers, they kind of put the kibosh on that as far as pop-up ads. At least there's no pop-ups anymore. So we do look at the old internet through rose-colored glasses sometimes, but like, let's remember that pop-up ads were a goddamn scourge.
I mean, from what I recall, the person who originally invented pop-up ads was like, yeah, this is my life's biggest regret. I'm sorry I did this or something like that.
Yeah, it's truly a pan. But if it wasn't them, it would be somebody else.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's probably just one of the inevitabilities of the internet. To bring it back a little bit, as we were saying, I think it's really like, it's just like a cheap nothing sentiment to say like, yes, obviously parents, you should be aware of what your kid gets up to on TV, on the internet, or anything else. But you know what? It's a little harder than that, right? Because like when we were growing up, like our parents were generally like the fucking like Gen X boomer generation. Like TV was still relatively new to them. Like not totally, but like TV was different when we were kids than when they were kids. Even nowadays, when like people like around our age have been like having kids for a while now, like we grew up on a very different internet. And it's like, okay, if I had a kid right now, they wouldn't be going onto like some fucking RPG Maker internet forum to learn how to make like sprite art or some shit like I was doing when I was 10 years old, or whatever.
Right.
They would be going onto TikTok and they would be consuming like, here's Five Nights at Freddy's lore video, skippity toilet, here's the back rooms. It's like,
yeah.
It's totally different. And we've talked, I guess, if you want to compare it to TV, TikTok in particular, like it's basically the modern version of channel surfing, right? Because you're never on anything for that long. You're just kind of like clicking through it and dealing with whatever pops up.
Oh, without question. It is easily consumable, very short term. It's like it's like going to the club and picking up some rando and then just doing your thing and saying goodbye. That's TikTok.
Yeah, can you imagine picking up a girl and after you're done, she's just like, okay, remember to like and subscribe to my OnlyFans or something.
If you like the video, make sure to subscribe.
Honestly, if I was with a girl and she did that, I would kind of respect the hustle. Like, okay, you are on the grind set. I would follow.
Yeah, I would think that's pretty funny at the very least.
I mean, that's more advertising than we do for our show.
Yeah, for sure. It would at least be a funny story, which is more than I can say for a couple people that.
If you're looking to get some this holiday season, try out this one weird trick from Super Despair.
Gone sexual.
Yeah, but okay, TikTok, that's a bit more of a recent phenomenon. We're talking about YouTube Kids, and I think like there's been stuff for kids on YouTube for a long time. I think back to like the early days of YouTube, and it was like when I was in middle school and high school, it was shit like, oh, these are just like two guys in their bedroom filming something. Okay, I phrased that weird, but it's like the Smosh. It's like remember Smosh where they did like, oh yeah, we're just like, here's a 180p video of us like lip syncing the Mortal Kombat theme, and now those guys have like a billion subscribers or something nowadays because they were early on it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it's funny because when you see a channel like that, it's you see the dichotomy between the old internet and the new one very easily.
Yeah, a lot. It feels surreal looking at a lot of like the OG like old school YouTubers like fucking. This came up recently because it was in the fucking H Bomber guy video we looked at last episode with the angry video game nerd, how he used to do like all his own like it was very dorky content, right? It was like, oh, I'm looking at these old video games and oh, this is like a poopy butthole shitting out my ass or whatever, and it's like, okay, but that was like that was real. That was his stuff.
It was like that's a thing. Like I watched his stuff and it was like, I didn't think he was the most clever dude in the world, but it was just like, it was revisiting old Nintendo games that I actually used to play with just like somebody's commentary, and it's like, oh yeah, actually you're right, this game did
look
suck.
For 2010
or whatever.
He had really good production value.
Oh, for sure.
Which is more than can be said of what I think is like, I'm gonna call this like the first big era of YouTube Kids stuff, which is like. We've mentioned this before. A lot of stuff that seems like it's probably made out of like some fucking content mill in like Turkey or like Bangladesh or whatever, where it's like the Baby Shark, Finger Family. What's another one? Like those kind of just sloppy, poorly made, like almost flash animations of it's like, oh, it's the stupid nursery rhyme, but we put like the Incredible Hulk or something in it.
Right, and they're kind of creepy at the same time, right? Like I don't really know what's going on with those or what's going on in their head. Like I don't know if it's intentionally like weird if they know something I don't about engagement, or if it's just like really deranged people making this stuff, or maybe a little
When
bit
you're
of
the
both.
protagonist of like a Lovecraft book and you crack open the forbidden Necronomicon and you see the things that bend the human mind, that's what you see. You see Spider-Man and Elsa like shoving things up each other's ass.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, those were very weird. You know what? Talking about the Spider-Man Elsa, I think they call this Elsa Gate colloquially. There was like a Wikipedia page on this. Like that
Yeah.
was weird, right? Like, did we ever find out who the fuck was making those?
Well, I think there was. I think I did watch some other creators' YouTube video about this, and like we mentioned earlier, I think it was just some like weird series of content mills based out of like South Asia or something like that that just made these things, and there's like hundreds of channels that kind of just mirror the content or just to spread it out over a bunch
Yeah,
of
like
them.
there was an original
yeah.
Elsa and Spider-Man, but I know there were a lot of people who just like copied it. Not to make too many assumptions, I don't know, were they like Russians or something? Because there was something distinctly like ESL about those videos, but like you can't you yeah.
It was definitely not made in English speaking country. And I think that's what that person came up with. Like either it was South Asia or Eastern Europe or
I want to say Eastern Europe, like not
like
to
that.
assume too much, but like okay, like Elsa, it was like a white lady, right? Like you like
Right.
Under the Spider-Man costume, that could have been anybody, but I don't know. There was also like somebody dressed up like the Joker or something, and he's like,
Oh, you're talking about the live action ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I am not sure of that, but yeah, no, I do remember seeing some white people, but who knows? They could have just recruited some random people. Like, yeah, you want to make $1,000 to make like weird quasi fetish content that we're gonna serve to kids?
Yeah, I mean, like okay, $1,000. That seems like a lot, but
Probably not. Probably,
no,
yeah, probably
I mean,
not
I
that.
think it's probably reasonable, right? Because when those were popping off, those were getting like millions of views, and I'm sure some
Like
percentage,
hundreds of millions. I think I haven't
Yeah,
looked
and I mean,
at any
I'm
of those
sure
before, but it's definitely a phenomenon.
some percentage of that was definitely just like normal people like us and our lovely viewers watching and being like, "What the fuck is this?" You know?
Right.
But like,
right,
there was
right.
definitely a big percentage of that. There's just like little Timmy got the iPad and now he's gonna learn what inflation is, and not in the economic sense.
Yeah, and just the weirdest. Well, the other ones that were just like, they were like quasi flash animation, just sort of like really low budget stuff, and those were the ones where it's just like Elsa's getting like an injection, and now she's like pregnant with poop on her, and it's just like, dude, that what?
Yeah,
What is?
and it's weird too.
What is
because
going on here?
We look at that now, and my first thought is like, oh yeah, this is like just some weird shit that somebody got out of like Chat GPT or something. But like, this was
Right.
like 2016, 2017. Like, this was before like the AI stuff was really like accessible to a lot of like regular people, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing is I don't like it would be easy to say now that it's just like some AI gone wrong, but I think at that point I don't even think there was that much like metrics farming that this could be just like a, hey, we really just care about money and kids like these things. I really think it was the pet project of some incredibly deranged, probably somewhat wealthy person, and a very sinister character that was just like, yeah, I have like a handful of really fucked up fetishes, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna make these a reality, and then I'm gonna serve these. I don't even know if necessarily they were like, we're gonna serve these to kids, but like, when your tag words are like Elsa and Spider-Man and Avengers, like, yeah,
I mean, those were
kids are
popular
gonna
at the
eventually
time.
watch
Frozen
that. Yes.
did incredibly well in theaters. So.
Yeah, right, and adults like that stuff too, but also the I'm not going to say the core audience, because there's a lot of Redditors that really like Spider-Man a lot. But a solid chunk of that audience are like actual children.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because like whenever we talk about stuff on the internet that relates to kids at all, it's very easy to be lazy and be like, oh, obviously this weird thing was just made by perverts like for their own like sick ends, and like I don't want to necessarily
Right.
jump the gun on that, but like if you watch some of the Elsa Gate stuff, like that's obviously what it is. I don't want to say all of it because obviously I'm sure there's an element of it that's just like, okay, these are the popular hashtags, let's just make some cheap sloppy content.
Sure.
It's probably like some office in like fucking like northern India or some shit with like some guys making like HTML5 videos, like pumping out 10 of them a day, running them through like Google Translate or something.
Yeah, it's like if it's a cash grab, that's shitty, but that's whatever. But the weird thing when there's like injection and inflation and then like scat and shit like that, like going into that as well, then it's just like, that's curious. And the thing is, like, nobody really knows the story behind that. Like, it's been uncovered by countless people that's just like, hey, this is something that's on YouTube now, like what the fuck, but we don't really know like who is behind this. I would love for some investigative journalist to like really find the guy behind the Elsa injection children's videos.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't even know if like fucking Batman could get a confession out of whoever made those nowadays.
Seriously.
And I don't want to say like this is a totally unique thing to the internet too, because like there have been people like inserting either as like a somewhat like raunchy but ultimately kind of harmless joke, like weird stuff into kids media for years. Like you've probably seen in a lot of old Disney movies, like, oh, here's a single frame where one of the animators put something that looks kind of like a penis in the background, and it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really a big deal, but
and I do wonder sometimes as well, like, is this just like a disgruntled Disney employee, or are we just seeing dicks and everything?
I mean, it could be a little bit of both. I know if I worked at Disney, I would be disgruntled as fuck. So,
well, I do remember as well, and this is much less sinister, but if you watch shit like Ren and Stimpy or Rocko's Modern Life or one of these old animations, you can definitely see that there's like adult jokes in there. But if you are a kid, you just won't understand what they're talking about. So I don't see that as like particularly problematic. But if you're watching that with your parents, they'll be laughing at that, and the kids.
Okay, I wanna maybe
that.
put the brakes on that a little bit. I don't remember exactly what he did, but maybe Ren and Stimpy isn't the best example, because I think there was like some controversy that went on with the creator of that show where like. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this, like that's a heavy accusation, but like I think that was like he was like weird with kids or something, or maybe he was just like inappropriate with like other employees there or something. Either way, creator of Ren and Stimpy, not a good dude as far as I remember.
I do vaguely remember what you're talking about. I think there was 2 eras of Ren and Stimpy, and then they like tried to revive it, and then it was just like not that great. But I do vaguely remember what you're talking about. I'm not advocating for the creator of Ren and Stimpy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well,
there's a way.
Let's be careful throwing out accusations. I know there was something about him. I'm not going to point the finger. I don't even know the guy's name. So that tells you how much research we do before we jump the gun on these episodes.
Right. Maybe somebody else that's more in the know for media lore has something to weigh in.
Although this does remind me of maybe a good example. Have you ever seen or heard of the show Totally Spies?
I remember the name.
It was like a cartoon.
Remember, yeah.
It was like 3 like spy girls. They did like fucking like Mission Impossible stuff. They had like the colored jumpsuits. There was like red, yellow, and like green, I want to say. And like this show was notorious because like almost every single fucking episode catered to like some kind of like fetish or something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you can look it up sometime. It's like, oh, the girls have to break into this like place, but oh, one of them got like air pumped into her like cat suit or something. Now she's all big and round or something like
Interesting. I just looked this up. The art looks very familiar.
It was definitely a lot of people's like sexual awakening. Like I think everybody has like that first cartoon where the girl just has like the big hips or something, and like some part of their monkey brain just unlocks.
It is definitely one of those Western cartoons that has an anime style to it, so that totally tracks.
Yeah, it was like one of the early examples of that, I want to say.
I really like these I really like these shows too, where they put like one stereotypically blonde girl in, one redhead with green eyes, and then one like olive skin, bob cut, black haired girl. It's just like, hey, whatever you're into, we got you. Not like, not like actual minorities, but whatever white girl you're into, we got you, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be careful jumping to this topic because we're talking about kids, so these are not girls to thirst over. But when you were describing that, I was thinking, oh, that's just the fucking Powerpuff Girls you're talking about.
When I was looking at that, I was also thinking the same thing. Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I don't know if you get that nowadays. That was the classic like 90s kids media, like, oh, we're gonna have like one of every like minority or something, like. The magic school bus or something. It's just like, oh yeah, the most diverse classroom in America or something. Not that there aren't like classrooms like that, obviously, but
sure. But I like those ones where it's like diversity, but only with white people.
By our powers combined, Captain Podcast or some shit like that. But that's going more into like traditional media. So I think the point I was getting at was like, there have always been people like inserting like raunchy things, to use a kind word, into like kids media, and like some of that isn't a big fucking deal. Like when I was like 10 years old, I was going on to old school funnyjunk.com, and the memes back then were like, oh look, it's George Bush, but somebody made like a Flash puppet animation, and his head is on a monkey, and haha, it's like, oh, it's like content for kids, like funny haha meme stuff on the internet has always been, it's fucking stupid, okay? It's like it's zero IQ, dumb brain, haha baby monkey brain stuff,
Oh, for sure.
So maybe to that end, it hasn't changed a whole lot, but still, there was something very weird about the whole like baby shark finger family stuff. Like, are you eating sugar? No, Papa, or like however that's.
Oh, that one. Goes. That one is weird as fuck.
I think
that one is super weird.
Wasn't that like a fucking like Turkish nursery rhyme or something? I want to say.
Yeah, but like. Yeah, that does make sense. Like I kind of figured it was, but there was something about that video that just like really rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, oh, I don't know
why I keep going back to Turkey. I want to say because it was like one of those videos that was like, oh, the dad is like kind of brown and he has like the big mustache, which is like kind of how my dad looked. I don't know, like I'm Romanian, so I'm not like from Turkey. I'm a white ass person IRL, but like I just think of like the dad mustache, like a certain type of dad.
You're just thinking of our boy from TikTok, I think.
Oh, I don't think we've actually talked about him by name on the show yet. Do we wanna save the surprise, or are we gonna just like
let's just save it. Let's just save it. We're just we want the viewers to organically figure out who our favorite TikToker is.
True fans of the show, find out where he lives. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, our end game with this podcast is to actually get him on. I don't know if he speaks English. But we will.
That is not going to be an obstacle to getting him on the podcast. I promise you.
Yeah. Absolutely. As long as he just winks and smiles.
I'll just show him my sketchbook in my iPad.
Amazing. Wait, wait, no, the yes papa thing. See, I think the stuff that makes that weird is is like there's a weird like uncanny valley production quality to a lot of this shit where like, yeah, obviously people who make stuff for kids, they generally have a contempt for children and they think they're all dumb. So they're going to make like really low budget shit for them. And obviously there are exceptions to this, which from all of the really good children's content that we'll discuss later. But yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, it's just it's like, oh man, it's really uncomfortable to watch. Like what the animation, the sounds, everything about it is just like.
This is why I was saying earlier, it's got this like ESL, English as a second language quality to it. Like, this is not something somebody wrote. This is something that somebody hastily ran through Google Translate and then like maybe cleaned up a little bit to make it rhyme or something.
Right. And then somebody found like the worst like Fiverr animator. To just be like, I have a $55 US budget. What can you do for this 3-minute video? And they're like, well, I will find my worst animator, and we're gonna make this happen for you.
Yeah, I will draw the summoning circle on the floor in blood, and I will just get like some weird demon to craft this like abomination and put it online.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's how we get these things, which are so meme worthy now, but it is for that reason that they are fucking horrifying.
I mean, we can look back on it now and laugh, but like we laugh at it because it was like organically popular for at least a little while.
Yeah,
and
true,
I will say
true.
I'm glad you mentioned the bit about people having a contempt for kids, because like that's kind of a universal feature of sloppy content in the first place, right? If somebody's like just putting out low effort, like high engagement bullshit, they don't fucking respect you. They don't respect your time. They just want to get paid.
Oh, 100%. And that's something that I've learned from my time in education, especially working with young kids. Which that's not my specialty, but I have taught elementary school kids for quite a bit before. And what I've learned through those experiences are, if you treat kids like dumbass little chimpanzees, they will act the part. And if you don't condescend to them, they will level up as human beings and become intelligent and cool.
I mean, yeah, this is something, like I said, I forgot the exact like scientific term, but this is something that I saw when I was a psych major in college, where kids they're like sponges, they're like mirrors. They will put out whatever you put in, you know?
So and that's the other thing that annoyed me about iPad kids, because I have taught and I have worked with iPad kids before, and it's the fact that it's very easy to see when a kid is an iPad kid, even if they're not on their iPad or on their phone constantly in front of you, but they usually will be, because, you know, their parents give them a device so that they shut the fuck up and leave them alone. But it's very easy to see, even if they don't have that, just in the sense that they are annoying as fuck. Why? Because they're parroting all of this stupid fucking slop garbage that they consume on TikTok and YouTube all day. And like you could, like it's really hard to reach them and just be like, yo, like this is, can you not do that? Like, that's not funny.
It's almost impossible
because
like fucking little Timmy has like 100 people in his life, and like 85 of them are being like, hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy back at it with another YouTube Minecraft. Let's go skippity toilet, whatever.
Exactly. Into them, like a dude like me, who I'm still like relatively young as a teacher, and I'm relatively like cool. I'm not just some like stuffy dude with a tweed jacket.
You're the hip teacher who can reach these troubled youths.
Yeah, I flip the chair over backwards, and I'm just like, hey, let's rap about culture for a second.
Yeah, you start the lesson by just like
about
tossing the textbook over your shoulder.
Yeah. You see this textbook? Rip it up. We're going to talk about real stuff.
Stuff you can use on the streets.
Yes. But that's the thing is like for me to even say anything to them, they're just like, oh, parents just don't understand. It's like, no, dude, like I actually do. Like I'm also terminally online. I just this stuff you're on, that's corny.
I was born on the internet,
really bad,
molded by it.
Yeah, I was born on the internet, molded by it. Yeah, but they don't get that, so it's hard to reach them. And yeah, the other adults, the other people that they interact with, the other 80 people are like, "Yo, it's your boy. Today we're gonna put Mentos and Diet Coke and shove it up my ass.
Today we're doing the Hunger Games and Minecraft, Squid Game, Skibbity Toilet,
and then we're gonna do a Skibbity Toilet Roblox skin giveaway at the end.
If you're still listening to this show, why not pour a glass and take a shot every time we say Skibbity Toilet?
Yeah, we're never actually gonna address Skibbity Toilet in this episode. We're just gonna keep referencing it.
Yeah, it's a flush.
And then the other people in that kid's life are like their parents, who obviously don't give a shit about them because they give them an iPad and are just like, leave us alone. We're having a marital.
Mom needs another Xanax to watch her programs.
Mom needs another Xanax and another glass of white wine.
Do moms still do that nowadays? Because like, okay, look, my mom's great. I love my mom. She was not like negligent or something, but like, moms when I was a kid, like they were addicted to shit like fucking like Jerry Springer and like the Maury Show and stuff. Like, is that still popular on TV nowadays?
I don't know. That is I mean, my mom's like 70 something years old. She doesn't watch daytime TV though. She only watches like nighttime TV. I think she watches like The Price is Right, and I think it's more like just background noise. She doesn't actually watch it. She just kind of throws it on.
Yeah, I know.
Which I totally get that. Like I do understand like just comfort background noise, like comfort viewing. I mean, most of that shit fucking sucks.
Yeah, and I know our boy Jerry Springer died like relatively recently. I want to say that was like a year or two ago or something.
True, yeah.
Maybe we'll do an episode on that. There's a lot of like fucked up stuff back on legacy media, which is not really the focus of the show, but you know, it is interesting to look at. So
a dude I used to work with, his brother was on Judge Mathis. Maybe we can get him.
Oh, sick! That would be great. I look forward to that. Yeah. Actually, didn't fucking Jerry Springer himself do like a TV daytime like judge in a courtroom thing for a bit after his show ended or whatever?
That does sound familiar. I'm pretty sure like the judges on those shows like weren't. Well, they weren't actually judges because that's. I
think it's some legal thing where like,
I don't even think they were either even lawyers.
I think legally speaking, with those shows, they were allowed to like, okay, you can sign this contract to get this like dumb fuck celebrity to like adjudicate your like petty crime thing or whatever. But I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it wasn't an actual court of law, that's for sure. And I'm pretty sure they paid them both out at the end of it, and that was kind of the contract.
I mean, nobody would go on these shows at all if they weren't getting paid in some way.
Oh, so. for sure.
But you know, I think we've gotten deep in the weeds. This is way off of what we were talking about. I was talking about the first like big era of like slop content on YouTube Kids, which was like the Baby Shark, Finger Family, like eating sugar, no papa, that stuff. But I also want to talk about like a different format of weird stuff for kids, which is like the more parasocial stuff. Like you see this a lot with like Minecraft, like video game Let's Player YouTubers, where like they try to like have a personal thing going on with the kids in their audience, and like that's insidious in like another way.
Yeah, there was one dude in particular that I don't even know who they were, and I only learned about this person from some other big YouTuber. It might have been Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers or something, some sort of channel like that just looks at like stupid weird
Like
shit on the
normie,
internet.
here's what's going on the internet type stuff.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's some normie shit going on.
Hey guys,
here.
it's critical here. Here's another shit ass video of like some
what
8
is going
seconds.
on
I'm gonna
here,
turn them to
guys?
10 minutes.
There's a poo-poo. It's moist critical. There's a poo-poo butthole going on over
All right,
here.
let's shit on this dick.
Let's shit. This is worse than when I got shit on my dick when I put my dick in a shithole.
hilarious content. But anyways, it was some dude, and he definitely had like rich kid vibes. Who I think was like somewhere in like Latin America, might have been Mexico or something like that. And this dude was like, "Hey guys, hit the like and subscribe button, and I'm gonna put a fidget spinner on Thanos, and if scary Elsa shows up, and when I'm gonna call them at 3 a.m. And I don't even remember what they were about, but it was just like, it was total like, it was the definition
I'm
of
getting
like
a
children's
haunted
slop
phone
content.
call from the Slender
Yes.
Man.
Yes. Have you? Are you just riffing on that, or have you watched?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
See, I was talking about like real Minecraft YouTube channels or whatever, but that is
Oh
that is a
no,
different
but
thing, and that's worse.
And I do know what you're talking about, but this is also somebody who's not this is also something that's like an actual person, but it's just like, hello fellow kids, do you like fidget spinners and Legos and Thanos and the Avengers and Marvel movies and things that are epic and Roblox?
TikTok fart
Me
sound
too.
.wav.
Smash the like button, and we'll do a Minecraft epic thing.
We'll do
in
the
Roblox.
Harlem Shake, fucking Oppa Gangnam Style, whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be so cool. And
I just want to,
yeah.
as an aside, I hate what the internet did to Gangnam Style, because I do like that song. It is catchy.
Yeah, I did like it. I was living in Korea at the time when that dropped, and it kind of got burnt out for me. But
It
what a
is
lot of
hard
people
to
don't
enjoy
understand,
just because of how much it was played, but I get it.
Well, I will say I do respect that song, just because the if you actually study the lyrics, it's about how people who live in Gangnam are vapid, shallow, useless people. Which for anybody who doesn't actually know about Gangnam, it is one of the worst places in the world. If Kim Jong-un did send the nukes and only vaporized Gangnam from the planet, I would become a supporter overnight.
What Dave is saying here is that fuck, I had a good joke. I was just we'll cut this out. Oh, okay. What Dave is saying is you actually need a very high IQ to appreciate Oppa Gangnam Style.
Yeah, you have to be a polyglot like me, and by polyglot I mean I know one language, and one language like okay. We'll do the internet polyglot episode later.
My knowledge of Korean is limited to fucking diva voice lines from Overwatch, because she's my main.
Oh, you're a diva, man.
I love Diva. She rules.
Man, I wish Overwatch was still good, because that game fucking
Wait,
sucks,
Overwatch
man.
was good at some point?
Probably not.
I mean,
but
okay, look.
I wish it was still enjoyable.
I think it always
to
had the
play
potential
sometimes.
to be good. Like, I think in the right hands, it would have been like as big as like a fucking Disney property, if you ask me. But they
really fumbled a bag. I mean, the Overwatch 2 thing. Whew.
Yeah.
Boy, I could not fathom doing that bad at my job. Holy fucking shit.
That dream
You
is
people are
already
all
nothing but a
incompetent.
memory.
A Amazing. Why are we talking about Overwatch? Wait, what
we
were
were talking
about
about something.
Okay, yeah.
Whatever.
Let's play Minecraft weirdos who are definitely making their content for children.
We were the weird stuff for kids on YouTube, with the stuff where it's like, okay, here's a video, it's like 3 minutes long, here's a bunch of stuff on my desk, and every single object is like a search term that's doing well, like fidget spinners and like Avengers, Thanos, whatever. And like that stuff is fucking weird too. We could get into like fucking Minecraft YouTubers and like everybody knows the joke about like, oh, let's check in on my favorite Minecraft YouTuber from when I was a kid, and almost always it's like, oh, this person's in like federal prison now for some fucked up shit.
Wait, where are my Minecraft my favorite Minecraft streamers from my childhood? Oh, just check the the sex offender registry.
I mean, we laugh, but like it's funny because it happened to so fucking many of them.
Yeah,
I will
mean,
say
it does track.
I will say that there's something to be said. I don't think. Okay, look, it's easy to say that, okay, money is the root of all evil, and people who just make too much money get corrupted by it or something. But in the era of like YouTube, where like you could just go from being like a dumb fuck nobody in like the middle of Kansas or whatever, and now your video blew up, and now you have like 8 million subscribers or something.
Yeah,
a lot of the people making those like dumb little Minecraft Let's Plays at first were like, oh yeah, I'm just like some like dorky loser that got like shoved into lockers at school or something, and now I have an audience of people much younger than me that like look up to me as like a god, you know. Like, you saw a lot of this. Like, there's the classic joke in the fighting games community about how, like, all Smash Bros. Players are, like weird, like, little perverts just that should not be around kids. And, like, that's a heavy accusation, but, like, a lot of them were, you know? A lot of people have been, like, busted on that shit, so...
Well, so here's the thing, is I've seen this... I can draw tangents to this in the education world that I've been in for unfortunately, like the past fucking decade. And then also, I could definitely tie this to like the creator communities, is you see people who probably had teenage years upbringing of like not being the coolest kid, like not really being able to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. Like,
and there's nothing wrong with that, for the record. You know, that's normal.
Yes,
a lot of people go through
that.
Yes,
absolutely. That's totally normal. I was one of those people in high school, at least. Now I'm an alpha giga chad, and I just smash Stacy's left and right. Join my pickup artist. My pickup artist course, it's only $499, but we have payment plans. It's fine. But anyways, I do see these people who are definitely weren't the coolest person in their formative years, and then they're in some sort of position where they are in some position of authority or coolness or status, and they are surrounded by like younger people. And then they do get kind of intoxicated by this attention that they've never had before. And to be clear, to preface this is not excusing this behavior whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just putting context around it, obviously. But like, it is easy to see how a person like that could fall into this thing of like, no, I'm just gonna talk to this girl because we're just friends. Like, and it's just like, dude, like, yeah, like you gotta stop yourself from doing that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, these people, like, they definitely had that, like, that fucking seed of darkness inside of them all along. It just happened.
Sure.
Just happened that getting big on YouTube is what enabled them to like act on those things. So
right, and that's a question. Like, did it draw them to that certain type of audience? Because I will say from personal experience, I kind of fell into education. It was never really something that I planned on doing or I wanted to do, but I did end up in Japan at one point, and I was teaching high school kids, and before I started my job, they had a whole thing where they were like, hey, we just need to talk about this. Like, there's been a problem in the past and we just need to address this. And it's with like guy teachers and girls. So like, don't get their phone number. Don't like hang out with them outside of. And I was just like, dude, what?
I mean,
fuck?
I imagine,
but
like,
at the same time,
okay, look, I've never worked as a teacher before, but I imagine nowadays that's probably something that all teachers have a convo about. Like, don't give kids your fucking like social media accounts.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I mean, I was 24 when I worked in like the kids I was teaching were 18 or 17. So it's not that big of an age difference.
Right.
Technically, but then so they did plant the seed in my mind. I was like, oh shit, like, well, is this going to be a fucking thing or whatever? And I went to these classrooms and I was like, these are like children, dude. Like, ew. Like, no shot.
I mean, in my final year of college, I was about 26, 27, I want to say, before I dropped out. And I was just like sitting there in like the cafeteria, just like writing an essay or something on my laptop, and like some freshmen just like rolled past me on a skateboard, and they were like just like being like loud little baboons, and I'm like, oh, these like 19, 20-year-olds, like these are like actual babies, you know?
Yeah. Well, in when you're in that, like, the younger you are, the more like compacted age is for you. So like the difference between like a 16-year-old and a 40. Well, nah, that's not really a good comparison. But maybe
I'll talk about this. Like when I was in elementary school, we had this like, I forget the exact details. It was like a buddy program thing, like where like the third graders would like go hang out with like the fifth or sixth graders or something.
Yeah.
And it's like when I was like the younger kid in that situation, it's like, oh, these kids are so fucking cool and mature, and like they have like all this wisdom that I don't have, and like, no, they fucking don't. They're just like slightly bigger apes.
Right. Well, I guess more accurately to what I was trying to say is like, I'm 37, and I would totally date like a 29-year-old. But if you're 18 dating a 10-year-old, you need to be put in federal prison. And I think like legally.
Yeah, for real. Like
actually
like I said earlier, I'm 30. I think my beginning day is like maybe like 25, 26 is like my cutoff, you know? Like anything younger than that, it feels like, oh, like you're just weird. You're just like a large child. And no disrespect, because you know, I have some like platonic friends who are like around like 22, 23, and they're cool people.
Oh, no, for sure.
It's different when it's like somebody you might fuck, you know? So
yeah, I think there is an issue of consent at a certain point of just like, was I totally like making like correct? I mean, I don't make correct decisions now, so it is real. There's a lot of gray area with that.
The thing is, like, it's less about like the exact number, like, oh, how many years. It's more like, okay, you are in a position of power, like as a teacher or something, or like you're at a different stage in your life. Like, yeah, a 22-year-old and a 28-year-old are both adults, but like one of them has like been through like the workforce and they like have bills to pay and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like like for example, like in Korea or in your wonderful country, or Ontario at least, like 19 is a legal drinking age. And if I went to a bar and there was a 19-year-old flirting with me and she was like totally down for it, I would be like, what kind of daddy issues do you have? And I'm not even like that silver fox. Like, I do look pretty young for my age, I guess, but I would still be like very sketched out about that.
As we've established on a previous episode, MILF is the only ethical porn category.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
MILFsonly.com.
If you're a MILF, please subscribe to the show and like
MILFsonly.com/super despair world. You'll get your you'll get your 50% off.
Shout out to all the despair mommies out there.
your Patreon sub will be will be heavily subsidized if you just subscribe to them as well.
Yeah. Please subscribe on Patreon. Please send me DMs. Please just subscribe, please. I just need it.
That would be really cool if our first sponsor was a MILF porn site.
Look, I would take it. You've got fucking like
Absolutely.
You've got stupid ass like fucking drama YouTubers. They're like, here's this like Minecraft Let's Player who went to federal prison for child trafficking. But today's video is sponsored by this like fucking like vibrator or whatever.
Yeah.
Come get your fucking like clit clencher 5,000 or
right.
whatever.
You're right. Or somebody's like, here's the Redditor who collected 700 years of cum from like a bunch of people. Anyways, this has been sponsored by some mattress company. Do you really like mattresses? Do you like coming on mattresses? Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I that's my whole goal is to just do ad reads on here.
Maybe
I hope we can
I hope we can get to
someday
I hope we can get to a point where we can accept ad reads on the condition that we make like some weird like cum joke about every product.
Oh no, 100%. What we should do is tell them that we'll do an ad read in an episode, but we just save them all up. And we just do a whole episode that's just ad reads.
That would be hilarious. You know, maybe we could do that just like without the sponsorship, just as a lark or something.
Yeah. But like honestly, if it was funny enough, I would listen to an ad read sponsorship. But
I would do anything for the bit, except that I don't know. We'll see.
I would do anything for the bit. But I won't do that. That's
all right. You know, I want to
for all you Zoomers out there.
I want to shift gears a little bit. We talked a bit about how digital stuff we see like on the internet nowadays kind of differs from like legacy media. You know, it's easy to take the piss out of like, oh, here's like a weird frame of a Disney movie that had like a penis or like a dick and balls or like some other like phallus in it. It's like, oh, that's a little weird. But I kind of want to, this has been on my mind ever since like we decided to cover this topic in the episode. And the big thing is, okay, the TV, when we look back at TV, a lot of stuff on TV fucking sucks. Like now more than ever. Like I remember,
true,
like people get mad if a YouTube video has like 2 unskippable like 15-second ads before like a video, and that's annoying too. But like on TV, every fucking commercial was like, here's 2 or 3 minutes of like the stupidest shit like 2 or 3 times in your show.
Fucking terrible.
Yeah, obviously. So like TV sucks ass. We don't miss it. I do think the internet was overall an improvement on it. But I want to have this convo about like, okay, the big thing about TV is that like it was curated. Like you had, if you were broadcasting something on TV, you had some amount of like legal or like network responsibility to put out something decent. Whereas like on the internet, you can just like post whatever the fuck you want, you know?
Yeah, right.
So if you're producing like content for kids, like, okay, if you wanted to get it to air on TV, there's presumably going to be like a board that like looks over every frame. Like I think some people who worked at CalArts that worked on cartoons and shit talked about this. It's like the ratings and safety board or some shit like that, where they're like, this joke seems like inappropriate, like get rid of it or whatever. And, you know, sometimes they go too far, but like you have that on real TV and you don't see that at all on the internet. So like what's up with that, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, the FCC has always had certain rules in place. I don't know. Does the FCC control TV? Well, maybe not cable TV, but I think that networks themselves still had rules and regulations. But there were ratings for quite a while now on all of these shows.
Like on all traditional or like legacy media,
right.
Like even fucking like video games or whatever, they have the like different rating systems across different countries, like in movies.
And this has been around for a while, probably since the late 90s or the mid 90s even. but yeah, in I think this was this is not like necessarily in modern times, at least, not really because of the morality of whatever entity is putting this out, but because they don't want pushback. Maybe in the 50s when there were like guidelines around good moral content on the television and radio.
I mean, that was a thing for decades. That was
sphere.
like the comics code or something like that, where like all this stuff you can and can't depict in like comic books or movies or whatever. That was
right.
That was a big part of history for a long time. And like, for better or worse, I'd say probably both, I guess. There's not really anything like that on the internet. Like, eventually YouTube,
not at all.
YouTube
No.
is gonna crack down on some stuff, but like the only reason is because like they care about advertisers, and advertisers will only act on that stuff because they care about money or something. But like,
yeah,
like maybe to date this episode a little bit, we're talking right now in the wake of just a couple days ago, Twitch made some rule about like, okay, we're gonna allow artistic nudity on the platform, and then like within a day or two it was like, nope, never mind, that was a bad idea, we're shutting this down.
Yeah in just like you said, why do you think that? What they were like, oh, the community said this. It's like, dude, you don't give a fuck about the community. The reason you did this, it's the same reason that like now they're legalizing like sports gambling, and pretty soon we'll have legal prostitution and all this type of shit, which I'm not saying that's necessarily wrong, but like we're running out of things to make money on. Just like these platforms as a microcosm of that are also doing. So it's just like, shit, like how do we get more? How do we open up new markets? How do we get more?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe let's have porn on.
Yeah,
here.
like
But
obviously,
then,
we all hate Twitch in this house. Twitch sucks ass. Fuck Twitch.
Fuck Twitch.
But
Twitch.
as an alternative to Twitch recently, there was like fucking kick.com, which I'm pretty sure is like directly funded by like fucking gambling companies that can afford to dump like here's $100 million for like Ninja to go like bring his shitty ass like Fortnite stream to our website or something.
And that's the thing about all these platforms is like there's no middle ground. It's either like the most sterile, whack, just corporate money focused.
It's TikTok.
Shitty,
I'm gonna say
out of touch.
I'm gonna say unalive and other. I don't even know the other TikTok words, but there's like a whole like list of like euphemisms that TikTokers use about the forbidden words, and it's like even people on YouTube are starting to use that language, and it's like I don't think the YouTube censorship thing is like that strict. Okay, you know.
I don't know about that either, but like Twitch is like so completely out of touch too, and we'll talk about Twitch in detail in a future episode, but just what comes to mind is that like Womexin tweet that people were like, no, we don't say that, and they were like, sorry, and it's just like, but it's the same thing. It's just like, what if we did this, and everybody's like, no, and then the advertisers are like, absolutely not, and they're like, actually, we listened to our community, which we care so much about, and we decided not to do that. And it's like, fuck you. And then Twitch or Kick on the other hand is like, it's like crypto bro, like
we gave $80 million to
like,
Aiden Ross to talk to Nazis and advertise like rigged gambling platforms and whatever.
Yeah, and people are like, oh man, this is gonna change the face of. No, it's not. This is like it's the other. It's the other side of the horseshoe. This is the other side of the shitstorm. behind not TikTok, fucking kick.com. There's like some fat guy in a suit called like Giovanni or something, and as soon as he's got a gold chain.
He's got the cigar, and as soon as he's like this streaming thing, it's not making returns. Like they're gonna pull the money out, and all those fucking losers are gonna be back on Twitch or back on YouTube or wherever they'll be allowed, because I guess a lot of them aren't allowed on Twitch anymore for good reason.
Yeah, or it could just turn into Chatterbait, and then they all have to.
I mean, didn't Chatterbait like shut down for good recently, or was that Omegle? I think it was Omegle, but like
No, that's Omegle. That's Omegle. I'm pretty sure Chatterbait's still around.
I mean, by the end of it, like Omegle wasn't that much different than Chatterbait in practice, if not in function.
Yeah, so when I was in college, we used to get drunk and sit in the living room, which had my production PC in it, and with a webcam, and we would just like take a bunch of drinks and go on chat roulette. And it was super fun, man. Like, sure, there's a lot of guys jerking off on there. Whatever. Hit next. They probably will, because they're trying to flash like a chick and not like.
See, the funny thing
five
to do there
dudes and two chicks who are like
is to like fold your arm so that like the crease of your like forearm and elbow looks like some
I know what you're
cleavage,
yeah,
and then
looks like an ass. Yeah. Yeah, but like that was cool, because we would like eventually come up with like with some like people in Argentina or something who are also doing the same thing. It was like, what's that? but like now, if you go on chat roulette, it is like the creepy. I don't even know if it's still around, but I did check it out.
If
like,
it's not chat
some
roulette
months ago.
specifically, I think there's always going to be some like random person webcam.
Yeah,
site
it
that
was
always
super
exists.
creepy, dude. It like I felt like I was gonna get murdered. I was like, nope.
Some stuff online is just like, it feels like you're like one wrong click away from like a snuff film. Like I remember when I was just like,
yeah, that's what that.
I remember
felt
when I was like in middle school, and
yeah.
it's like, dude, I just want to like pirate some fucking music off of LimeWire. I don't want to watch somebody's like weird exploitation video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the point is, I feel like we've only seen like the two extremes of it, right? Because there's one extreme where it's like, okay, we can go like full fucking FCC crackdown censorship. Here's all the words you can't say. Here's what like the Chinese government has decided is like not good for the algorithm or whatever. And like that's one extreme, and I don't think that's good for a lot of reasons. Obviously, I don't need to elaborate on that. And the other extreme is like full fucking anarchy, Wild West, no rules. Morgue Pie can hop onto Twitch and like stream half naked, whatever. And it's like, that's not good either.
Also not good, yes. I agree.
And it's like, okay, legacy media had this kind of figured out where like there was a space for like raunchy adult stuff. Like, yeah, just like wait until like 2 a.m. and go onto like HBO or like the pay-per-view channels or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know if that's like necessarily great either. I do think like there's been a real crackdown on the internet of like everybody's trying to get rid of porn, right? Like credit card providers and stuff don't want to deal with any business transactions that are like that are like not safe for work. I know, like, I follow a lot of artists on Twitter and whatever, and a lot of them like draw great like not safe for work art, but it's like, yeah, I had to get off of like Coffee, and I had to go onto like Subscribestar or like some other like Patreon alternative or whatever, because like, oh yeah, they just took $500 that I made for no reason, and that's bullshit too. So I'm like, okay, so like what's the solution here, you know?
I mean, that's really hard to say. I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know if I do either, to be honest with you.
Like, as far as that goes, I don't know. Like, it's very easy to say, like, there's a responsibility to the parents, but there is. There is.
Obviously, like that's the starting point, in my opinion, you know.
At the same time, I don't want it to get to the point like how it is in certain countries, including South Korea, where I once lived, where to do certain things on the internet, you have to have register a government ID to your phone and like all this other shit, and it's like that's like kind of annoying.
I mean, they've been trying to do that over here too, wasn't it? I don't know if it passed or not, because like I'm not American, so I don't pay extreme attention to this, but wasn't there like they tried to ban Pornhub in like the state of Utah or some shit, like some weird Mormon whatever?
That sounds about right. I know there was dialogue about doing that in the UK, the porn ban, which they did the porn ban in Korea. And you guys need a little bit of a better IT team to implement that, because it was very, very easy to get.
Yeah, I mean,
around.
we don't need to explain to our audience how the UK is like a failed state. Like, that's just another symptom.
Right.
Okay, like they're not gonna, even if they pass the law in like the House of like frilly pompous nobles or whatever they call it. I don't know. Like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, even if they powder their wigs, like double powder, it's still not gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm thinking about, okay, so like, yeah, obviously there's a responsibility like of parents to like, okay, be involved in your fucking kid's life. Like, we shouldn't need to say that, but I guess we do, obviously. But we've talked before about like the creators of slop content, and it's like, you shouldn't make this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I look at some of the good stuff that was on like legacy media. This is something I wanted to talk about for a long time, which is like, okay, in our lifetimes, there have been some good examples of people who did genuinely want to make like good, entertaining media for kids. Like, the big example of this that comes to mind is the fucking legendary, greatest of all time, Jim Henson of the Muppets fame, and many other like weird puppet based television productions.
The Muppets were fucking phenomenal. Sesame Street, incredible.
Sesame Street
is still going on right now. Like, I watched like recent clips of Sesame Street, and they're still doing it, and like just staying relevant, staying modern, but still like back to their roots. Like, whoever is behind Sesame Street is just like, yes.
I fucking love I love Sesame Street, because there's something like kind of like, I guess the word is like earnest and sincere about it.
Yes.
A few weeks ago, I was watching what they call the notorious 9/11 episode of Sesame Street. And before anybody looks it up, they don't actually say anything about the Twin Towers or whatever in it. But this was an episode of Sesame Street that aired like shortly after 9/11 in 2001. And if I remember the plot correctly, it was like Elmo goes to like some like deli or like Subway shop or something, like some kind of store or whatever, and like there's a fire in the store and he needs to get out of it, and like the rest of the episode is like Elmo's hanging out with like firefighters and stuff that obviously like dealt with it, and everybody was fine.
Yeah.
But it was like they handled the subject really, really like delicately, because like you watch this episode and it's like, oh yeah, like you can tell like Elmo is fucking like rattled and like unsettled by the whole fire situation. Like, it really like spooked
like
him.
a normal way to react to the situation. It's like very relatable, but it's not condescending at the same time.
Especially because like fucking Sesame Street, it's in New York, right? It's the show takes place in a big city, exactly like New York.
For sure. Yeah.
For a lot of kids back then, like, it was like, yeah, you probably saw like some scary shit. Maybe you knew somebody like in who died in 9/11, or just like some stuff going on there. It's like, yeah, they handled this like hard subject matter in a way that's like, even now as I'm watching as like a 30-year-old, like I missed this episode back then, but it was like, yeah, this is good media. Like, this is made by someone who actually like gives a fuck what kids are like watching on the TV screen.
Yeah, which is so hard to find. And like the other one that I'm thinking of is the episode like after Mr. Hooper died, like in real life. And they did the one where like Big Bird like doesn't understand.
Oh yeah, I think I saw
what it means when he died. And that one, it hits so hard, and they just did it so perfectly. Or they're just like, no, Big Bird, like he's gone, like he's not gonna come back. And it was like, what do you mean?
Even watching that as an adult, after like I've been through like several. I've been through like several deaths.
Hits.
You know. So
yes, yeah, and it hits so good. Like, if I were to ever have children, like I would show them that, like as a way to, because they explain it better than I could, and that's kind of like what this kind of media should be, is like just a way to relate certain things with characters that you know and you respect and everything like that. Yeah, like It's so good, and I really just wonder, like, not like, we know what makes this show great, but what qualifies the people who are behind this to make something so good, whereas the other people who make, like, just condescending, low effort, just trash content for kids in other media, like, why are they so bad? Like, who is qualified to do this and who isn't?
Yeah, it's hard
question.
to lay down like qualifications, right? Because before we started recording, I did do a little bit of research into like the life of Jim Henson, and like a lot of his early stuff related to like the Muppets and his other like TV shows, like it was very close to getting canceled a couple times, and I mean canceled in like the
Really?
real sense, like the
Yes. The show was being canceled, not somebody was crying about it on Twitter.
Right, exactly. And it's like I think if I was to, I think looking at qualifications is like the wrong way to go about it. Because like, is there like some written test you could take to qualify?
Yeah,
like,
that's not what I. Yeah, that's
like,
not what I mean by qualifications. Just like what makes a person who can make this is really what I meant.
Right. And the direction I wanted to take this was, I think we need to look at it in terms of like, this is a game about incentives, right? Because yes, some people like the legendary Jim Henson do mean well, and they genuinely want to make entertainment that can be enjoyed by like people of all ages. And you know what? I think these people are saints among us. They are better than me. They are passing through the gates of heaven when I am not. You know what? They're great.
Right.
And nobody who's listening right now is going up there either. Okay, so like let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
But
exactly.
The thing about it is like, okay, we're talking about incentives, and the thing is, all of them are like super fucked up nowadays. And it's like it was never great on TV, but I think this is one of those things that has genuinely gotten worse with time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you go onto YouTube now, like, whatever is popular on the front page, we've said this before, that's not, like, organically popular. You're not seeing that on the front page because, like, 17 million people genuinely think, oh, this fucking rules. I love this. But no, it's like, it's there because some arbitrary decisions made in the algorithm's black box decided that yes, this is the slop that will be served to the maximum amount of people. And you know, that just like it incentivizes like bad actors to make bad fucking content.
Yeah, and it's the weird thing is too, this is a little bit of a side tangent, but I really think if we just implemented this one very, very simple thing overnight, we would see a steep decline in slop.
We need to bring back public caning in the town square.
Well, that's a little bit more high effort. I was talking about a low effort thing is hide subscriber counts, hide follower counts, hide view counts, hide all of that. You get served a video, you don't know, is it popular, is it not? You make up your own fucking mind.
Because I've heard about this, like I've never been a marketing major, and you can tell that because I still have like the glimmer of life in my eyes. But I've heard that this is like a marketing thing where like, okay, the price tag on a thing affects your perception of its value, right?
Absolutely.
Where, like, okay,
absolutely.
If a brand new like AAA video game comes out and it's like, okay, this shit costs like $90, you're like, wow, that's probably a lot of content. And like, obviously, if you listen to this show, you're obviously like based and savvy and knowledgeable, and you're like, oh no, AAA video games fucking suck ass nowadays. But to a lot of people, there is that like subconscious like compulsion, like, oh, this is expensive, it must be high quality. And I think people
in the same way
high view counts, you know.
Well, absolutely. Like, I've definitely come across shit randomly that I was like, this is really cool, and it's like, oh, 17 likes and like 94 subscribers.
Okay, you don't need to talk about
maybe it's not that good
that way.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is it was really good, just like our show is really good, even though we're not doing big numbers.
At least at the
But
time of recording. Let's check back in a year.
Yeah,
when we have the fucking
this
Joe
will-
Rogan mega bucks.
Exactly. Pull that shit up, Jamie. But yeah, that's a weird thing about it is it's really hard to gauge because I think we do have especially in the social media age, we do have a tendency to want to just like quantify everything. It's just a very convenient way of putting a discrete value on something. It's just like, oh, big number means good. Small number means maybe not good.
Numbers
But
are truly
the big
gonna
number
be the
has
death
to
of us
come.
all. Like,
Yeah.
we need to get rid of math. Okay, that's the real problem here. Like, fuck, if you got
Abolish
a math degree, fuck you. You are what's wrong with the world.
I agree. I have to tutor a kid in math tomorrow, and I'm black pilling this kid on math. I'm
Math
like,
is
hey.
math is of the devil. You heard it here first. This is the only podcast that hates the Antichrist and all of his numbers.
Yeah. Numbers, we don't like them.
But you know, it
like
is
them.
fucked up to think about, right? Like, let's imagine this hypothetical. Let's say, okay, I am Jim Henson too, now with big anime titties or something. Like just me, not in the show. Okay, I'm not putting titties on the Muppets. But let's say
No.
let's say I am the successor to Jim Henson, and I want to do something like the Muppets. It's like, okay, first it's gonna cost me a lot of money to make all the puppets. I gotta get the film equipment.
Right.
It needs to be
Right.
like fucking 1080p, because if it's anything less, people are just like gonna instantly click off. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, I want kids to enjoy this, but like, how the fuck are kids gonna find it? Like, no kid is looking up like my original character, like Blorpo the Fluppet or whatever. You know, they want they want the Spider-Man, Elsa, Joker, pregnant, poop dish,
Right,
whatever.
right.
You know, it's like,
Right.
okay, even if you want to do something like good and wholesome and sincere, it's like the nature of these platforms and algorithms is set up in a way that's like, it's gonna punish you. You are gonna bite the dust. You are gonna be forgotten by history. Your content is already nothing but a memory. You know.
Yeah, see, and that's a problem too with these platforms in general. Is it's in theory it's nice that it's technically democratic in the sense that we can just put some shit out there, like boom, easy. But we think of it as just like, hey, in the old days you had to get a contract with NBC or with PBS or MTV or whatever station, and now the gatekeeping's gone. You could just put your shit out there. But it's like, no, I mean, you could put something out there, and if it's good, it's not necessarily gonna be put in front of people.
It's
we
gonna
don't
be flushed
really
down
know
the
how
drain
these,
of the
yeah.
skippity toilet.
Right, exactly. It could go right down to the skibbity toilet drain, or
yes,
or
yes.
or it could be complete trash, and either the algorithm picks it up randomly. We still don't really know how that works, or just some fucking shit, just big million subscriber derivative lame slop creator just happens to feature it on there, and then a bunch of people are looking into it and it goes viral, which anything that goes viral is generally fucking bad.
And
too.
you know,
It's just like,
sometimes something good will go viral, and then it'll just be like corrupted by it. Like,
Right,
let's say, like,
right.
I'm not an animator, but let's say I made like a cool Flash animation or some shit, and it's like, okay, it has like maybe 10,000 views. Like, okay, that's decent, but like in the grand scheme of YouTube, that's fucking nothing. But then let's
Right.
say a week from now, Mr. Beast features my animation in some stupid video. Now it's like, oh, I'm successful, but like, okay, I've signed a contract with Mephistopheles in blood, where it's like, okay, you're very big and successful now, but you have an audience of like, a million like TikTok Zoomers that are gonna like click out
Right.
the moment you do something that's not sloppy.
Oh yeah. 100%, 100%. And that is the thing about going viral too. It's just like easy come, easy go. Which is why like it sounds intoxicating to just make something that blows up. It's doing numbers. It's blowing up, and it's just like, dude, these people are gonna forget about you fucking tomorrow. Like, people will, especially on platforms like TikTok or whatever. Like, people will just tap like on anything they see. They will just swipe tap.
I'm guilty of doing this when I scroll TikTok. I mean, not TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. On Twitter, x.com, formerly known as Twitter.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
the site fucking sucks ass. We've already talked about this. We don't need to beat that dead horse. But like, in spite of how awful Twitter is nowadays, my feed is still like 60% okay. I mostly just follow artists. Like, I've done a good job of curating it. And even though I do get a lot of stuff I like to see on there, I'm like, oh, I've just been scrolling Twitter for like 20 minutes just smacking the like button. And it's like, is this good? I don't know. Probably not.
Well, it's whether it's good or bad, that's not really the point. It's meaningless. That's for sure.
I think there's great meaning to be found in the big titty artwork that's in my likes tab. But that's just,
no.
That's
The artwork surely is meaningful. The big titty anime girls. We're not debating that.
I mean, if we're talking about content that's easy,
you hitting the like
let
button.
me tell you.
Yeah. Hey, there we go. Hey. But the liking and the fucking numbers and shit like that. I anytime I hear discourse about like, I got 700 likes on this, it's crazy. It's just like, dude, fuck off.
I literally caught myself doing this just recently, where I was like, oh shit, our last episode where we talked about H-Bomber Guy got like 7 more views than the episode before it. Oh, dude, the algorithm's popping off.
Oh shit, we're
episode 5 is
making
doing
Excel
numbers.
spreadsheet. Yeah, it's going crazy. But it's just I like, it's such brain rot, man. I really do look at the numbers sometimes out of curiosity, but I know some people who have just become completely deranged by the numbers, and I refuse to ever be that person. That is so, it's so fucked up. Like,
as we established, numbers are of the devil, and math is his language to worm his way into your soul.
Ah, yes,
true. Yeah, you know, we try to end these episodes on a positive note, and I feel like this time, when the state of media for kids on the internet is so despair-inducing, I don't really know how to wrap this one up. But I will say, as always, like, yes, if you're a parent, you have some responsibility over like the stuff your kid looks at on their iPad or on the computer or on their phone or whatever. That's obvious. I'd say if you're a consumer of this stuff, as we've said before, cut the slop out of your diet. Like, stop watching this shit ass media, you know?
Yeah, and also, I mean, Sesame Street is still around. You can watch Sesame Street now, and Sesame Street fucking rules.
You can probably watch it for free on the internet, actually.
I'm pretty sure it's the PBS has like they have a YouTube channel. Mr. Rogers, stuff like that. Like, there is good shit out there.
I want to say no, but he was a good dude as well.
Yeah. That's another dude.
I'm not going to look up if Mr. Rogers is alive, because I don't want to get
sad. I don't want to know.
I don't want to know. He's alive
either.
in our hearts, okay?
Yes, he is alive in our hearts. There was a docudrama made about him, and I just don't have the heart to watch it.
He is a shining beacon of light in the darkness of super despair world.
Yes. Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers. There's a lot of good shit from back in the day too. Like, there are things that we can show children that fucking rule. Not maybe dial the Skibbity toilet back to a 1 and dial the Sesame Street up to a 10.
I was gonna
That's
have
my
a
advice.
hot take about Skibbity Toilet this episode, but I think it'd be funnier to just lean into the bit you mentioned and just like not elaborate on it at all.
Yeah, let's.
We're getting close to the point to wrap up, but I guess
Right.
if I was to impart some last bit of wisdom onto our listeners, all this stuff we see about like media on the internet, it is all a big complicated web of incentives, right? Like you could probably say that's true of like the entire world, but people, when they make shitty, sloppy content, the incentive to do that is like, okay, it gets the views. So like, if
Right.
you want to do your part, one, stop watching that shit. And obviously, you as a lone individual viewer, you can't change the world, but like you can plant that little seed. And I will say, if you do see somebody producing good stuff, fucking support them, okay? Like give them money on Patreon, give them your attention, share them around with others. This is not an elaborate segue into a plug for our show, but you know what? If you feel that way about our show, obviously we love the support, but you know, send that love to everybody making what you think is good media. Be the change you want to see in the landscape of fucked up perverse incentives to create stuff.
Well said, but also give them epic updates on Reddit.
Yeah, exactly. Be sure to give them your update. Give them Reddit Gold. Give them Reddit Silver. Make sure to be the kind stranger that they thank in the edit.
Yeah, be a heckin' doggerino.
A heckin' good doggerino.
Yeah.
I think that's all we've got for this episode.
I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I think we went to a really dark place, and we crawled out of that well of sadness, and we brought it
Yeah,
back.
we went down a Skibbity toilet, but then reversed the flush action, like in New Zealand, and the flow reversed, and we came back out of the toilet, and now we're dry.
Yeah, I started this episode, you and I are just like Spider-Man and Elsa, and over the course of the show today, I got pregnant, and I gave birth to, I don't know, let's... Guys, thanks for watching. This has been Stupid Despair World.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Make sure you like and subscribe on this one. I'm marking when I upload this one. I'm marking it. This is made for kids. We'll see how this blows up.
Yeah. Tell your friends. Tell them what a proud mother I am of this thing we just put out there.
Yeah. The pregnant inflated Elsa injection.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Good night. Goodbye.
Bye. Good fight. Good night.